Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And we're doing something a little bit different than what we normally do, Pepper.
Yes.
And what is that?
Well, now you can call us Nacho Average Cinema.
Oh boy.
Today, we are ranking all 6 of the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World movies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you've been following along with the channel, or if you're brand new, we've been doing a Dino Mania of all of our tabletop board games that have a dinosaur theme.
Yes, you can see one of them right here, Dinosaur Island.
Yes, and one behind me, Dinosaur World.
Yes, which are not at all based on the Jurassic Park franchise.
Right. Wink, wink. But yeah, so I think first we'll kind of talk about each of the movies a little bit, and maybe say some things we like or didn't like, and then at the end we will rank all 6 of them in the order we feel best suits them for our taste.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can either listen to us or skip ahead to just the rankings.
The rankings. But yeah, the first one was, probably should have written down some facts, like the years these movies were released. So
I believe it was 1993.
93
was the first one, I think.
Wow. Is he just making stuff up? I don't know.
I think it's something around there.
Yeah, I think it's around there. But yeah, 93 was the original Jurassic Park. Probably the first big dinosaur movie, I'd say. I'm guessing there's been one before that, but light just dimmed a little bit. My gosh.
Scary! The dinosaurs are coming.
But yeah, so it's probably the first. Spielberg directed it. I think this, it was after Jaws by quite a bit. I think that was 70s, 80s. I'm not sure. I don't know years for things. But yeah, so he's coming hot off that Jaws hype with Jurassic Park, and it probably was just as popular, surprisingly.
Yeah, I think it was a big hit, and it's kind of, I mean, even about 30 years later, depending on what, the years are or whatever, I mean, I think it's still very popular today, and people still want to go watch it, and it hasn't really been surpassed, I don't think, by like another dinosaur franchise or any other movies relating to dinosaurs themselves.
Yeah, like you see some like on the Sci-Fi Channel or something, some dinosaur things, but no one has really attempted like a big blockbuster dinosaur movie apart from this franchise.
Yeah, and I think it's because even for the time it was such a solid, I mean, kind of like Jaws, I think. People would say that it was a very solid looking film for what they had back then, or what they could use for effects and stuff. So I think the bar was set so high with that one that it's very difficult for anyone to be like, oh, we're going to make a dinosaur movie and not instantly be compared to that. So that's probably part of the reason. But yeah, in that one, just to kind of talk about the movie a little bit, it's pretty much...
There was an accident at this dinosaur park. They had gotten some DNA and were creating dinosaurs from that DNA, filling it in with some other things that may come back to bite them, literally. But yeah, so they did that. They had an accident and had to bring in some people. What were their names? Dr.
Sattler.
Dr. Sattler. Ian Malcolm.
And then the other one.
Paleontologist. Grant.
Grant, yep.
And then some other guy who ends up getting eaten on the toilet.
Oh yeah, spoilers.
Spoiler alert!
But
bringing them in to see pretty much what they should do with the situation, if they should shut it down or if it's worth keeping, and it's pretty much the story. It's just kind of a few different world views from those characters of if this is the right thing to do or not. Jeff Goldblum, we're just going to call him Jeff Goldblum now, is really into this chaos theory of things will go wrong. And life finds a way is another one of those quotes.
Right. Because, it basically came from John Hammond. I think he's like a richer person.
Yep.
I guess I wasn't sure. Is he a rich guy that wanted to just create this for other people, or was he trying to make money off of a park? Having people come in?
I think he was just trying to bring the experience to people.
Yeah. So
I don't know about the book. Neither of us, I guess. Have you read the book?
I have not read the book.
I have not read the book. I think he might be a little more evil in the book, from things I've heard. But in the movie, I think he does just kind of want to bring this experience so that everyone can see it. And, yeah.
Right, and then
money's just icing on the cake.
Right, and at the same time he has all these scientists or whatever come.
Yep.
He also has his grandkids come.
Yes.
Right, it's grandkids. Yep, to the island as well to kind of get the experience of these dinosaurs that haven't been around for millions of years and kind of get that experience that he probably wants to bring to the world, like we said, and like he says, things will go wrong.
Yes, Jeff Goldblum was correct. Things quickly get out of hand.
It's kind of surprising it wasn't more out of hand before they even got there.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know how long. I don't know if they said how long it had kind of been going before our characters get to the island.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it had that much time to get that, but I'd assume they'd been there for a while. It seemed like they had everything kind of set up and whatnot. So
yeah. So things go wrong. Electricity goes down. I think there's a traitor in the kind of working in the organization and trying to sell some of that DNA to a competitor. Which, I mean, how do you have a competitor in bringing dinos back to life after millions of years? You wouldn't think there'd be a lot of people trying to do that, but apparently there's another billionaire willing to pay for some DNA. So then there's some sabotage. Fences go down. T-Rex gets out. Some raptors get out, and just
kind of all
chaos.
If you've seen any of the Jurassic movies, kind of the main dinosaurs that you see kind of throughout the films, the T-Rex and the raptors, like you said, getting out and causing some chaos, and then the characters kind of get split up because they were all kind of together. With some of them kind of going back to like the lab portion,
because
the headquarters.
Some they were going on a tour, kind of the park to get the experience, and then there was a sick dinosaur, so a couple of them split off to care for that one. I'm not sure, was that a Stegosaurus?
Yeah, something
or
like that.
Triceratops, one of those. So they kind of split off, which is not a good idea in a dinosaur park. So then chaos ensues. Everyone's trying to get back to the base or just wait for the power to come back on. Maybe they don't know exactly how bad it is, but then, of course, once you look and the fence is broken through and you hear the T-Rex, you see the water rippling and the T-Rex footsteps, which is just one of those things. I think a lot of things in this movie are just perfectly shot. Like, just iconic shots like that. I think everyone, even if you haven't seen it, you've probably seen a reference to that water rippling. Something's coming, something's approaching, and it's big.
Right. Yeah, it definitely has a lot of those scenes throughout this whole movie, I think, that are kind of iconic, along with some of those quotes as well.
Yes.
But then we kind of get to experience kind of trying to survive out there, along with, just trying to locate those people. Because, trying to remember, so the people that are... the people that were helping the dinosaur went out to look at that area and saw the vehicle was destroyed or gone, and found the Jeff Goldblum character.
Jeff Goldblum kind of led the T-Rex away. It was kind of nudging the car around and trying to get the grandkids of Hammond, and Goldblum led him away as a hero and led them into the restroom where whatever lawyer was in there hiding wasn't actually going to the bathroom, so he retained some of his dignity before he died. So then while he does that, the others escape into, I think it must have been the T-Rex pen, I think.
Yeah, it must have been.
So they kind of scaled down the wall there while he led him away. And of course the two other characters, Dr. Sadler and I forget.
Grant?
The hunter guy.
Mondoon?
Something like that. And they show up, see the car's wrecked, and I think they go back to the the camp. They find Goldblum, bring him back, where he is now shirtless. Well, not shirtless, got his shirt unbuttoned in the iconic shot that was made into a miniature for the unmatched T-Rex set as well, which for at $10 extra you could add that on.
Right.
Which is pretty cool, pretty funny. Yeah, then they go out to kind of turn the power back on, and sadly, one of the standout characters, although I think pretty much all of them are standout characters, that Mondoon gets into a battle of wits with the Raptors, and sadly, the Raptors win and take him out. Also, Samuel L. Jackson is in this movie.
He is as well, and he also gets taken out.
Yes, and somehow he is the most... Samuel L. Jackson is the most boring of characters in a movie.
Yeah, it's crazy to look back and then see that he's not...
Like, he's not even...
He's not one of the main characters, doesn't feel...
6 or 7 even characters.
No, it's kind of crazy to think about. But, they end up dying, and then I think that's when the group kind of reunites, don't they?
Yeah.
But then the Raptors are kind of after them.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering right.
So she was turning the power on.
Oh, right.
And they were also climbing down the fence, the electric fence that had been turned off at that same time. So it just keeps cutting back and forth of her flipping these switches. It shows you the last switch is the fences to turn on, and the kid's up there. He doesn't want to crawl down, and it's just another really well shot scene of just building the tension, and does actually zap the kid, and he goes flying off the fence kind of comically.
Right.
just shoots him off there.
But he survives.
Yes, he does.
Luckily, somehow. Voltage jets keeping in dinosaurs. Somehow doesn't kill a human being.
But a little 4-foot kid, he's fine. But he does live, and kind of everyone gets back to the main center of the park, and then, of course, like you said, the Raptors are coming after him. They were loose as well, and they get in the building, and there's some more really great scenes with the kids running around the kitchen, and the Raptors going around tapping their fingers, trying to find the kids. They're moving around in the different aisles, and it's just the reflection.
Yeah, the reflection shot, and then he goes...
It's just such a good scene.
It really is. It's crazy how good it looks for how old of a movie it is and how well it was shot.
Yeah, it just goes to show you don't need to go bigger and more explosive. You can have a fantastic scene.
Right.
It stands up with any big blockbuster finale nowadays, and it's just in a little kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. Because they were building the tension there too. It felt like they did a really good job of that in this one, especially since they did kill off some characters, even though they weren't really the main characters. Any of them, I don't feel like, but it felt like that people were always kind of in danger.
Yeah,
you didn't know if they were going to survive or not. Well, I'm assuming at the time, if you watch some other ones, some of the characters show up again. I guess depending on which order you watch them in, you might know that they survived. But it felt like there was a threat there the whole time.
Yeah, I think so.
And
then the T-Rex kind of while all this is going on, the traitor within the company does end up dying, which. Of course they do. That's pretty much a theme for these movies. Is usually the bad people end up dying terrible deaths and
from dinosaurs.
Most of the good people make it out alive.
Right.
Because I think it's still PG-13 movie. They're not going to go full on rated R. Your favorite characters being eaten horribly.
True.
But
I think that was I don't know, for some reason I always remember his death though too, the traitor. So I mean they did a good job at making it a memorable kind of different. They didn't use the Raptors or the T-Rex to kind of just show we gotta get the T-Rex or Raptor back in here. They used some of the smaller one, or I don't even remember what it's called, but shoots like some ink, acid, poison thing
to blind you or something. But that's just another thing. The T-Rex, I assume the T-Rex was always popular even before this movie. But I don't know if the Raptors were as popular, and I don't know if anyone really knew of that other dinosaur as well with that poison. And now I think both of those have just been made so iconic that everyone will recognize them if they've seen this movie at least.
Right.
But just really great choice of dinos in the movie.
Yeah, I think they used all the ones they used very well.
Yeah, yeah. So then it kind of raptors are chasing them, and then out of nowhere, here comes the hero, the T-Rex,
Right.
turning face,
Right. Turning baby face.
turning into a good guy, and comes into kind of somehow gets in the building without anyone noticing.
Right.
That's
why would he go in the building?
Yeah, like I think they need my help in there. Yeah, I don't. That's probably for a movie that I think everything else was very smart. For the movie, it wasn't just a stupid movie with dinosaurs. It's all very well laid out. That T-Rex getting in the building without anyone noticing, I think that's probably the stupidest thing in the movie.
Yeah, I would agree. That's
Not that I'm against it.
No.
I think because then he ends up battling the raptors, and you get a great shot of him roaring as the banner of Jurassic Park falls down in front of him. So I think it's worth it for no matter how
iconic scene.
stupid it is. It is very iconic shot. Even they have in the Unmatched set, they have a card with that picture on it. Yeah, it's just great stuff.
Yeah, I'd agree. And then I think they just eventually, or after that kind of happens, and they leave.
Yeah, they do get out of the park.
And then John Hammond is kind of like, I don't know, sad about it or something. But I don't know. At the same time, he almost seems like he hasn't given up on it, and like it's something else is going to happen. Like it feels like they were intending for a possible sequel. I think.
Yeah. But so it wasn't like, well, burn it. It's done.
Right.
Yeah. Always left the door open there. The big gate's open.
Right. But yeah, I think that one, don't want to spoil too much, but I think that one had the most iconic moments out of all of them.
Yeah.
The most memorable things. If you were making a top 10 list of moments in all 6 of the films, it might almost have 4 or 5 of them, maybe.
I think it might have
maybe even
half
more
or so of the moments.
So, yeah, it's iconic. It still holds up, I think, today.
Yeah, because this is probably one that I'd watched the least of the original 3 growing up. We usually watched the second one and the third one, and so I really only watched it since I can remember for the first time in the last year or so, and I've watched it a couple times, and it just completely holds up, I think, with not only the story but the effects as well. They did use animatronics for a lot of things, and I think that really, really helps it, versus relying completely on CG. But even the CG looks great, and there's little parts where it's like, it's a little older, but still, you could release it today, and I don't think there would be that many complaints.
Right. I would agree.
It's just mind blowing.
It's crazy. It's crazy how you could have probably released it today and still would have been pretty well received, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kind of gets us into the second one.
Yes, The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Ooh.
So this one...
kind of weird that they didn't start Jurassic Park Lost World.
Yeah, this is
for the title.
The only one in the series that does not have Jurassic at the start of the name. Who knows? Maybe they've changed it by now. But yeah, so this one kind of gets rid of most of the characters. There's no Grant or Ellie, or there's a little bit of Hammond, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly
he kind of makes reappearance or a small, either appearance or small mention. He usually gets mentioned in. I think all of them. I'm not sure.
I would think so.
I think there's at least a mention.
There's a mention or Easter egg or something. But yeah, this one follows Ian Malcolm, Jeff Goldblum, and there is another island. Turns out that they had is just for more dinosaur work. So it's not the actual park island, it's the second island, and the dinosaurs, they thought they couldn't survive without whatever. They'd put something in their DNA to make it so that they could control them, but life finds a way, as Jeff Goldblum says, and I think the dinosaurs are still living on that island when they didn't think they could. So they, of course, want to send teams to go and check them out, and possibly send teams to go and get them, and capture them.
And I don't know I don't think either of those teams knew the other team was going to be there.
But were they both sent by Hammond?
I think so.
Yes, or at least someone representing him, or which who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it starts off with kind of following the Goldblum character, who was a smaller character, I think, in the first one.
Yeah, a really good supporting character, now a lead.
Right, and then I believe that he didn't want to go back. Like, I'm assuming most of the characters wouldn't want to go back after what they experienced there, or even though it wasn't the same island, like you said, wouldn't have wanted to go back to a similar experience. So I think he at first thought it was just crazy and didn't want to do it, but then I believe was it like his ex-wife?
Ex-girlfriend,
or ex-girlfriend, whatever it was, and then
or maybe
a bunch of his
I'm not sure.
friends or something that he, or people that he knew.
Yeah,
maybe not
his
friends.
good friend Vince Vaughn.
His good friend Vince Vaughn.
Which is just also so weird. Like, kind of like Samuel L. Jackson. It's just like, Vince Vaughn is in a Jurassic Park movie.
Right. I feel like I could see the Samuel L. Jackson one, but I feel like for him to have been in the first one, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But like I could have seen him maybe being in a later one and being kind of like a outgoing, outrageous character like he usually plays.
Maybe they can get him since he's still doing work.
Yeah, he probably
they could recast.
He probably could go in there and
be like, I survived, just be without an arm.
You could say that. I don't think there was anything that for sure that he died. I mean, his arm was there. It would be
his arm.
A vicious attack, but
yeah.
But I don't think they would do that.
I would like.
They could bring him back as a different character too.
Things do get a little ridiculous as the franchise goes along, so I can see him possibly bringing him back.
And I feel like any franchise like Jurassic Park or anything like that, usually even if they start well, eventually they start.
They're like, let's just do it.
Right. Right. But yeah, so then he can, because of all those people going there, he gets convinced to go and see, or go to the island or whatever, and
then they
help with
introduce us to his daughter, and she's like, "Oh, I want to go with," and he's like, "No, you aren't." And they go to the island, and what do you think? She snuck aboard.
All right. So we got another kid on the island.
Yes. Which that would have been the most stupid, useless scene if they had her saying, "I want to go with," and then she just actually didn't get to go with, and you never saw her again.
Right.
So you know where it's going.
Right.
And they open up the camper. There she is, cooking food, and there's so much garbage and trash. I'm like, how long was this trip that she ate? Like, it looked like 2 weeks worth of food. It's just thrown across the ground. And I'm like, I don't think it was that long of a trip. But who knows?
And they would have went back there too. I don't know why. Yeah, that is
a
little
little stupid thing. But
but yeah, somehow too immediately the Jeff Goldblum character, who got there after all these other people, 'cause they didn't all go together. Who did he go with? A couple people though, or no? He went with a team, but then she was his.
She was already there.
Yep. And somehow they ran into each other almost immediately.
Yes.
And it makes me wonder how big this island is, because I wouldn't think that would happen. That's the only other main thing that's, well, there's probably some other questionable things, but that was one thing that made me be like,
yeah, that's true.
I feel like that would be a little tough to know, unless they were specifically, maybe they were specifically assigned to just check out a specific area.
Yeah, maybe.
So maybe they'd be a little more likely to run into each other.
Yeah.
But it was a little lucky for them to do that.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so then they're observing the dinosaurs, and then they see some more people flying in and kind of chasing down the dinosaurs and wrangling them and capturing.
Because you got it's not like, oh, there's some more people coming and observing them. It's more, you've got like tanks and these jeeps and helicopters,
tranks,
dirt bikes, all this stuff. So you know that they have different intentions than our other characters.
Yes. And one of them makes very clear his intention is to hunt a T-Rex.
Yes. And he seems to be the leader of the group.
Yes.
But he seems like he didn't actually take payment for it. That was his payment.
That was his payment. Which immediately, I think, kind of turns them into like the Mondoon of the of the movie. And one that you kind of like, you may be on the bad guy side, but we like you.
Right. But then I think it also sets up for like, he's definitely getting eaten by a T-Rex.
Yes.
Like I think it's kind of like putting that out there, like, oh, this isn't going to end well for this guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so then our team is just kind of, instead of observing the dinosaurs, they're observing this other team who went around, like you said, and wrangled up all these different types of dinosaurs.
Yes.
And to me, there's something that I really like about that scene. I don't know what it is, But
the wrangling
it's
of
one
the
of my
dinosaurs.
it's one of my favorite scenes of them going around and just capturing all the dinosaurs in slightly different ways, and you know,
you got
showing
the cool
that
car with the seat that kind of slides out so that
Right.
they can shoot them.
right. Yeah, it's kind of
It is
shame
a
they didn't
really
use
cool
that again.
scene.
But yeah, I really
think that's-
like that scene.
That's another
It's
one.
a
as
little
well.
over the top, but it's
I
It's
think it's an
pretty good.
iconic one.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Mhm.
it's different from the original. There's nothing like that in there.
Right.
And it's just really cool.
right, and it makes them look like they were well prepared, and
Yeah.
they were.
They're not just
They're not just going in
completely. Let's just shoot dinosaurs for fun and
right,
kill them or
right.
anything.
It looks like they actually have plans, and they brought like smart people along that actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So that's good that you establish that
Yeah.
they're smarter than the average
Yeah.
Joe. He didn't just send a bunch of goons to the island in hopes that maybe they can do it. Who I think sometimes in those types of movies, that's who they end up hiring, are goons that aren't really as prepared as they should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I really like that scene.
Yeah.
In that.
Yeah.
But then
I think they sneak. So they're getting the dinosaurs because they are trying to build another park in California. I think somewhere in California, and so Vince Vaughn and the love interest of Jeff Goldblum, and I think Jeff Goldblum himself, they kind of go down into that camp and just release the dinosaurs, which is literally just like pulling a bar out of the door,
right,
and it's open. It's like, okay, I would think they'd be a little more secure than that. These millions of dollars worth of dinosaurs,
right?
It's that easy. You just clip some things and dinosaur.
At
gets
least
out.
most of or a few of them are clipping that, whatever. So it makes it look like they're at least not. But it did seem like some of them they were just lifting it up. So, but those could have been maybe some of the. I guess if it is smaller herbivores or something, I could see. You could maybe use that.
Yeah.
But yeah, they opened those up pretty easily, and then they went loose and destroyed the campsite kind of that they had there.
Yep.
Because they were rampaging.
Yes, and this was right when they were kind of on video call, showing their plans. They had the little diorama of what the park's going to look like, and then of course a Triceratops comes running through the set, and it's like, oh, maybe those people won't give me their money now.
Right.
But yeah, so they get loose. And it gets nighttime, and it gets rainy, and then one of my all-time...
That one is actually probably...
I think that's my favorite.
My favorite out of the
entire franchise. I think it might be my favorite sequence. So yeah, the T-Rex hunter guy, they had captured the baby dinosaur, the baby T-Rex, because there's like a mother and father T-Rex, and they kind of hurt that a little bit, tied it up. To set it as to lure the T-Rex in. Yep. So then Jeff Goldblum and co. find this baby T-Rex and bring it back.
Well, Jeff Goldblum did not want to bring it back.
He did not want to bring it back. He's in the camper, and Vince Vaughn and love interest take the baby back. And Jeff Goldblum does not like that.
No, he's like, no, you got to bring this back.
This is bad. This is bad.
Right.
So they bring him back to the camper, which...
Yeah, and actually at this point, too, it was, I think, his daughter, Goldblum's daughter, and this other guy that they have with him, one of Goldblum's friends,
she got
are
scared,
up in a
so they kind of
tree
went up in a tree fort or of some sort.
Right.
So she's up there and with that guy. And then they start operating on this baby dinosaur, trying to heal its leg.
Right.
And then, of course, it's whining out and crying. And then
the
mama,
daughter and the guy can see the trees moving.
Yes.
So they know something is headed for, because they can. I don't know if they can see the camp, but they know where it is. They know what direction, and they can see the trees moving and going towards that.
So they try to call, but of course no one's picking up the phone. It's
even
too
though there's
chaotic.
3 people there. It's too chaotic in there.
Then the mama and papa T-Rex come up and look down in the window of the camper, and they're like, "Oh, we better hand over the baby." So I think they finish up the surgery and hand the baby over to them, and then they take the baby and they walk off into the woods, and
everything's good.
And that's why it's our favorite sequence.
The T-Rex got to be reunited with their baby, who's now healed.
Yes. Except no, then a car comes tumbling across. I think they knock one off the cliff, which they are parked on a cliff.
Cliff's edge for some reason.
Cliff's edge.
I'm trying to remember, on this beach, or on this island, is there beach, or is it all cliff on the edges?
It might be all cliff. I don't remember any beach.
So then I guess if that's the case, I can see it, because they're probably not going to part.
Yeah.
Because I guess thinking about it, where those people were camped, the other group, kind of probably wasn't the smartest spot, because you're surrounded by trees and stuff. You have no idea what's coming at you. So that at least it was a cleared place. So I guess I could see why, but at the same time, they were very close to the edge of a cliff.
Yes. And it's raining, so the ground is slippery. Mm-hmm. And the Mama and Papa T-Rex are back, and they start ramming the camper and hitting it, and it's shifting around on the ground. And then they start pushing it, because T-Rexes are very smart, and they know there's a cliff over there.
Right.
So they start pushing them towards the cliff.
Right.
And closer. And I think half of it goes off the cliff.
Right, because it's like two camper pieces that are kind of like a train or something connected. Yeah. So then, the first part starts...
The back half falls off, and everyone tumbles down.
Right, because then it's just straight up.
Yeah. So they fall down. Of course, there's like kind of a glass...
pane of glass.
A pane of glass on the bottom, so the woman lands on that.
Right.
Cracking it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's another great sequence where the glass starts to crack. Mm-hmm. She puts her hand there.
She's trying to get to the edge where she can...
She's hanging off a cliff, so if that breaks, you're dead.
Right.
And again...
Is a camera or something?
Yeah, some camera bag is like stuck on something up there.
Right.
And Vince Vaughn's trying to grab it as Jeff Goldblum's going down to get her. Mm-hmm. And it's the strap is just sliding off of this bar. And
it's just going kind of back in between those two things.
It's kind of similar to the electric fence situation in the first film. And it's just cutting back and forth between those two things. And eventually it falls, hits the glass, shatters.
Right.
But her lucky pack or something, Jeff Goldblum had grabbed onto, so she's safe. And
I guess I don't even remember, what was Goldblum hanging on to?
I think they were each hanging on to an end of her bag.
Oh.
Because they must have made a comment of her lucky pack earlier, so then he makes a joke about that.
Right.
Jeff Goldblum makes jokes in the worst situations in these movies. He is the calmest son of a gun. Son of a bun. I kind of combined two words there. But yeah. And then,
for some reason, too, the T-Rexes had then left. Yeah, even though only part of that was off the cliff.
I think they were setting a trap. Kind of like they set the trap with the baby T-Rex.
Right.
They were setting a trap with these guys hanging off a cliff.
Exactly. Just in case there was anyone else that wasn't in that.
Maybe in a tree. So that caretaker of Goldblum's daughter in the tree, he decides I have to go help them. Mm-hmm. Selfless guy, a hero.
Right.
A hero. He runs up there, and he sees this truck hanging off the cliff. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, I gotta save him." So he goes and he asks them, "Oh, are you okay?"
He gets into
they're okay, and then he's like, "Okay, I'll go." He gets his car, which kind of has a rope on the front, so he starts reeling that out a bunch, and then runs over and tries to attach it to...
Wait, did he hand down a different rope?
Oh yeah, he did.
He handed down a
rope and tied that to a tree.
Right.
Yes, that's what happened.
Yes. So he tied the rope that he wanted them to hang on to or climb up to a tree that was next to the truck that he got into. So, but then he wants to try to pull the whole thing back to the trailer. Right.
So he's trying to pull that back up onto firm ground.
Right.
So he kind of reels out a bunch of wire, a bunch of line with a hook, and he runs and he runs and he tries to hook it up, and it's just short
by about a foot or two.
Like moments like that, you just feel it deep inside.
Right.
And you gotta run back and reel up more, and then you're like, you gotta get a lot more because it's sliding even farther.
Exactly.
And then he ends up getting it.
Does get it hooked up.
And then they're climbing up the rope at this time, and of course it's wet, so then the knot comes loose on the tree, and then the rope gives way, and they all fall down.
Right.
and somehow they all grab on to the ledge of this broken window.
Right. So getting a little craziness there.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially when I'm assuming there's probably glass shards along the edge of that.
Yes.
So it cut up their hands, I think, pretty badly.
Yeah.
But, of course, not here.
No, not here.
So then he has to go and hook that rope back up.
Hook it up again. So he goes and does that. And this time he ties it better. They
Yes.
all tug and, okay, the rope's good again. So they start climbing again. And he's like, okay, I'm hooked up. I'm going to get in my truck. I'm going to put it in reverse.
So I
and
can
pull this.
hopefully at
pull
least
it.
hold the thing there
Yes.
while they get up.
While they get up. And then the ground's wet, so he's going
It's
full
slipping.
in reverse, and the car's just swerving back and forth, and that's just another image that just sticks in my mind.
It is. It is. You're probably right. This is probably the best scene from any of the Jurassic Park movies.
I think so. Yeah. So he's doing that, and then
And of
the
course,
trap was set.
the T-Rexes are back.
Yes. One of them walks up on either side of his car,
He's looking and he's just having a bad day.
and he doesn't run away.
Nope, he
still
just keeps
tries
driving.
tries to save the people.
Right.
And
the T-Rex rips the top of the
rips the
vehicle
top
off,
off the car.
and then they eventually
Tries to get his tranquilizer, but it's stuck in a net.
Right.
And then they do get him, and I think rip him in half, which is
I think so.
just...
So much
For-
worse.
He did not deserve that.
Right, and then as they're doing that,
Yeah.
the car starts going forward
Yes.
because it's no longer going in reverse, and
Yes.
all of a sudden it must have. I think at that point the thing had kind of come off.
Oh, yep.
The second piece had come off the edge of
Yeah.
the cliff, so then it was like just all sort of
Yes.
sliding.
Yes. So the whole
And you
trailer...
get another pretty decent shot, I think, of then the whole trailer
Oh,
falls
yep.
through and they're just hanging onto the
Yep.
rope. So
the
it's
whole
going
trailer
all-
falls through. All the windows are broken, apparently, throughout this. And they slide right through because they're hanging onto that rope that's hooked to the tree and not the
Right.
car.
Right.
And the trailer just doesn't touch them at all when it goes all the way down.
Right.
Which I don't
And
know.
his vehicle doesn't either. His vehicle goes
No,
flying.
his vehicle goes flying down to the ocean, I guess, and explodes.
Right.
Pieces of wheels and metal shoot up and
Right.
don't hurt anyone.
Right.
Which,
And then they eventually do get up to the top of the rope, and luckily the other group is there
yes.
and helps them up.
Everyone's there, and the T-Rexes are gone, and it's daytime now.
Pretty much. So
But
if they could have just got there a little earlier, maybe they
Yes.
could have helped the guy.
Yeah, and I don't know his name even. But yeah, rest in peace. Ah. I mean, he was just kind of a nothing character up to that
Right,
point, but
right.
that scene just built
It
him up
made him.
completely.
It did.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I'm trying
And
to. Then they kind of do
yep.
a journey through
Yep.
the island or whatever
Yep.
to get to the
Some-
location where they can.
Yeah, there's some base where they can call and get a helicopter for rescue, and so they're going, and then one of the bad guys kind of sneaks off to go to the bathroom, and they kind of feature another unique dinosaur. I think it's
Is it
Compy
Compy
or
or something?
something, Comptosaurus. That's probably not what it is, but they call him Compy for some reason. There's Comp in the name.
Right.
And then they're just the little ones, little dinosaurs, and they all team up and take that bad guy out. But I thought it was kind of nice to feature more unique dinosaurs as well.
Yeah, and have smaller ones kind of take out
Yeah.
someone when he thought they were kind of harmless in a way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was nice.
Yeah.
And then
And-
kind of just throughout the rest of the
Yeah.
thing, I feel like we got the whole first part was a lot more exciting, and then it kind of, I mean, it's still
Yeah.
a little bit, and it kind of just gradually drops off after that great scene. I think
maybe.
they go through and they get killed in a lot of them
Yeah,
get
yeah.
killed in various ways.
Yeah, of course they had some baby T-Rex blood, so they're still following them. They
Mhm.
had that on their clothes, so they attack the camp that they set up and
Right.
kill a bunch of people. And you got the raptors chasing them through some tall grass, which
Right.
another cool scene.
One guy
Um,
getting a snake, and then
No. He's like,
running
oh
out
no,
and-
because they're hiding behind a waterfall. And they're like, oh, a snake stuck into my shirt. I'm gonna run directly into the mouth of a T-Rex.
Right. But it's an iconic scene, another iconic
Yeah,
scene.
yeah.
But
But then,
yeah.
like 5 seconds after that, Goldblum walks through.
Right.
through the waterfall. And I'm like, where's the T-Rex and why did it not attack him?
The timing of the T-Rexes sometimes is a little suspect, but overall.
Then it pretty much gets down to our main good guys, and then they get to the place that they're trying to get, and of course raptors are there again, and I think there's some pretty good raptor action here as well. Goldblum's leading them away again and battling them, and some funny things. He rips off a door or hides or goes into a shop, and they just jump through the window.
Right.
He somehow rips off the door for protection. How strong is Goldblum?
Right.
And it smacks him
through the window.
window.
Right. And then his daughter, I think, does some... Because earlier in the thing, she was doing, like, some gymnastics.
The stupidest thing.
And then she does that and kicks one out through a window or whatever, or through the boards or something. And then it landed on something and died.
Spikes. Yeah. And the woman's on the roof, and it's got that kind of clay tiles on the roof, and she kind of pulls those, and the raptor falls down. Two raptors start fighting as a distraction. Right. And there's the stupidest thing. So she's on the ground, those raptors are fighting. She rolls into a hole in the ground, which there's like a room under there, so it must have been an underground room. She lands on a light fixture that then gives way, creating a ramp that she rolls on and out a window and onto the ground into the arms of her love, Jeff Goldblum. And I'm like, what was that sequence? And what is the layout of this area that happened? But it's just the stupidest 5 seconds I've ever seen, just to get her from one part to another, one place to another.
Right.
But
it was an interesting looking thing, but it doesn't really make sense at all if you're thinking about it.
No. But then they get the helicopter and they go back to the mainland.
And as they're doing that, you see, or it cuts to a scene of the guy that was there wanting to hunt the T-Rex had actually tranked the T-Rex.
Yes.
He was able to do what he wanted to do.
Yep.
So they had a T-Rex there.
Yep.
And they had it all captured. So they were going to bring it back to the mainland. So they couldn't capture any of these other ones, but they're going to bring just the T-Rex and the baby, I think.
Yes. So then, of course, they bring them across on a boat, but all the crew is dead. Somehow.
Yeah, because it's coming full speed, and they're telling them to slow down.
To the pier.
They just crash right into
the pier. Which, I don't know how the crew got eaten by a T-Rex. That was
I think there's been speculation.
I think they were going to have raptors originally, but I think they cut out any reference to that. But because they're in even the captain's quarters, and that person's got their body missing, just their hands, and I'm like, okay, a big T-Rex can do that. Some raptors must have been involved. But then big T-Rex starts running across the city. It's on the mainland now, which is one of the things that just made me want dinosaurs on the mainland. That started that love. And then Goldblum and stuff trying to lead it back to the ship. They go get the baby T-Rex that they also had and bring that into the ship, lead the T-Rex there. And of course, the big bad guy, whoever's the bad guy, I don't know exactly what he is.
Trying to get it to, I don't know what he's...
He runs onto the ship too and gets eaten by the T-Rexes.
Right.
And
so,
that's pretty much the movie there. Just another solid movie, I think. Probably not as smart as the first one, but still almost as many iconic scenes.
Yeah. Then we get to
Jurassic Park 3.
Yes, the third one of the series.
Which I've seen the second one the most. So definitely we talked about that one quite a bit. The third one, some kid is skydiving with his father or whatever by one of the islands, and
is it his father or is it just a friend?
Or his stepfather, I think. And then of course, the boat, whoever's controlling the boat, pulling them, they're dead.
Right.
And then the boat crashes, and they're going to be stranded on this island of dinosaurs.
Right.
So Willie.
They cut the rope or whatever, and then they fly into the island.
Is pretty scary. I think that was effective as a movie. And so William H. Macy and Téa Leoni, parents of this kid, they're divorced because she had a new husband who was taking him skydiving, and they say, hey, let's contact the dinosaur man, Grant from the first film, and maybe he can help us around this island and help us find our kid that's lost. And
right, but they
don't
say
tell
that
him
to
that.
him.
No, they're like, we want a tour for our, I don't know, honeymoon. I don't know what they make up.
Because they made up that he was some rich person and he would donate money to his dig site or whatever it was. So that's what made him agree. Because like Goldblum in the second one, he did not want to return to the island or anything near there. He didn't even really, even when he accepted, I don't think that, or did he accept?
I feel like he was.
Because now I feel like he was knocked out or something.
He was knocked out at some point. Or maybe he was. I think he just fell asleep. No, he was knocked out.
Did they knock him out? Was they getting close?
Oh,
they were getting closer to the, or they were. They started. So he was. Yes, he did go willingly.
Yes. Not
knowing what they were hoping to actually do, and he was. They were flying around, and he was trying to explain things to them in the flight, because he was like, "Oh, over there is a whatever type of dinosaur or whatever." And then I think after he was starting to do that for like a few seconds or 15, 30 seconds, he realized they were talking about something else completely.
They're like, "Oh, when we get on the ground and this," and
right.
It's like, "No, you can't land.
We're not landing. We're not getting any closer to the ground."
And they're like, boom.
Yeah, and then I think he tried. I don't know what he tried to do. He probably got up and then he got knocked out, only to wake up and. They have landed on the island.
and the most annoying character in the whole franchise, the mother of the kid, which obviously you would be upset, but she's doing bad things. Bad idea. That's a bad idea, they say.
Got a megaphone. And she's shouting
out their kid's name.
They got the two or three of the crew out in the forest with
looking
guns
around
and stuff. Yeah.
And so she's shouting that out, and Grant's like, those dinosaurs are going to hear this, and they're going to come, and they're going to eat us.
Right.
So they hear a dinosaur, and they start packing up, getting back on the plane. They're like, oh, but one guy's back out in the woods. They're like, we got to go. So they start taking off. That guy comes out of the woods, and he's like, stop. And they're like, we can't stop.
Right.
And then the dinosaur comes out. I think it's a Spinosaurus
or something. Yeah.
Comes out. Grabs him.
The plane doesn't get up high enough and kind of hits
back. So it kind of spikes on the back of it, and it kind of hits that, and that sends it flying into the forest, crashing, getting lodged on some trees.
Right. Kind of I think the back half kind of broke off or something, and the main piece kind of gets stuck in the trees.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Did a couple of people were in the back half? Did they? Right, or did they die?
They must have died.
I can't remember how many there were in there. Maybe not. Maybe they all survived.
Yeah, I think so.
Because then I think
the dinosaur attacks the front of the plane and gets the pilot, who has their one satellite phone.
Right.
He took that before the flight, and so now the dinosaur just ate him. So now they have no phone.
Right. And no one knows they're there. I don't think, because they weren't supposed to be there.
No. But yeah, so then the plane comes rolling down, and it's just kind of trying to get at them in there.
It's just smushing it, destroying the plane.
Yeah, they run out, and then a T-Rex shows up, and then you kind of get a matchup between the T-Rex and the Spino. I always want to call it Stegosaurus, but Stegosaurus are nice.
Right.
But yeah, so then they kind of match up, and the Spinosaurus gets the victory there, which... a pretty big deal, I think, because T-Rex has always been shown to be dominant. So yeah,
and kind of making that declaration.
Yes. Definitely sets it up as a villain for the film.
Yeah, for sure. But then I think they were running. It's someone. I think one of the other people gets killed, but I don't remember who he gets killed by.
The other
Velociraptor.
I think it was Velociraptors. Because I think they had looked at some Velociraptor eggs. And one of the people, Billy, had snuck some, it turns out, from there. So the raptors are also chasing. The raptors are always chasing people.
And Billy was with Grant, right?
Yes. Yeah, he works with him. So he's got the raptor eggs, and so they've been chasing them, and they actually get a hold of kind of one of the other pilots, I think, and kind of set him out as a trap to try to lure him out. They're like, we can't go and help them because that's a trap and they'll get us. And it was a trap, so the raptors go up and kill the poor guy. I guess he didn't deserve it.
Right. I think they even like snap his neck, don't they?
They couldn't just leave him.
Apparently, that's what raptors did back in the day.
Yes, they're vicious.
I don't think they even ate him, did they?
No.
So
they're too smart for that.
So then they
just go.
They're continuing to try to find the kid, I think, and they're still shouting out, and I think the mother is still like walking around. I don't understand how she wouldn't have gotten killed at some point.
Yeah.
The way she's making all the noise. But
I
think that's just part of it.
Yeah. I think then the parachute comes down, or the parachute doesn't come down. They're still flying.
They find the parachute.
Yeah, the new husband is dead, hanging from the tree, but the son is not there. So they think he's still alive, and somehow they get separated. I forget how, but Grant gets separated. Ends up getting saved by the kid who's been living in some vehicle tanker thing.
For the whole time he's been there. He used a smoke bomb to kind of get away from, I think it was raptors, but I don't remember exactly. So then it kind of follows them for a little while, and then they hear the ring for that phone.
For the phone. That was on the guy that was eaten by the dinosaur. So then they run out and they see his parents on the other side of a big fence.
They just got lucky because they thought it was the dad's phone.
Yes, it was his dad's phone. So then they reunite. They're on opposite sides of this big, strong fence. And then they're like, "Oh, we heard your phone." He's like, "What phone? I handed that to the pilot before he got eaten." They're like, And they turn around. There's the Spinosaurus. With the phone in its belly that they could still hear, I guess.
It was a loud ringtone.
And then, so they're like, oh, we got to find a way through this fence because he's coming for us. And they run, and conveniently there's a little opening there for humans to get through, but the big dinosaur just smashes through the fence.
Right. Which it looked like it was a pretty stable fence, so it must have been a lot of power for it to break through that.
So then they run off to some building and kind of put a board over the door, because that'll stop it. And it does stop it. It doesn't get in there.
Right.
I don't know. That kind of leads them to the bird cage.
So, and I think around this time is when we find out
that he had taken
Billy had taken the eggs.
Yes.
And Grant was about to get rid of them. Or was he about to get rid of them, or Billy? Someone was about to get rid of them.
About to throw them.
And then he thought that if they find them without the eggs, that they definitely would not.
That would be worse, because they know we have them.
Right.
Yeah.
So he does save the eggs.
Yes. So then they go into, well, they don't know it's a bird cage, but they're going through this foggy area with these fenced kind of walkways, and very, very scary, very effectively shot. Kind of probably the scariest that any of the movies had been up to that point. So they're walking through there, and they get to one side of this long area, and then they're like, okay, send the kid over. And he goes, and he sees a big creature, and it's the pterodactyl. I don't know if we had ever seen any up to this point. Not even a little bit, I don't think.
I don't think so, no.
And just another featuring a great dinosaur. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're scary. So they're flying around, everyone's trying to run away, and they're picking up the kid and throwing him into the nest. And Billy's like, oh, I probably
gotta make up for what I did.
Make up for stealing those raptor eggs.
And he had folded up the parachute from earlier.
Yes. So,
and then took off with the parachute.
Yes.
To go save the kid, I think.
Yes. So he's flying by, and the kid kind of runs off a rock and jumps and grabs onto him. And then,
and then he drops
the kid into the water, and
then he keeps flying around.
Yeah, and
then a little bit.
Kind of the pterodactyls are all attacking him, and he gets in the water, and they're kind of attacking him, and they kind of go downstream, off screen, and we are to assume that maybe he has died. But then they go out
and are able to get on like a boat.
On a boat, like kind of a river boat, and. And of course the Spinosaurus can swim, so he's kind of stalking him, kind of like Jaws. Behind him you see his fin sticking up, and he starts...
I don't think they saw him yet.
They didn't see him, but we saw him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you hear the phone again.
Oh, yes. So then they stop, they go offshore, and then there's just this giant pile of doo-doo.
Of dung.
They have to dig through
To find this
the phone. Yes,
so that they can hopefully call someone.
Yes, also very effective and disgusting.
Right.
But yeah, so they do get the phone, and they are planning to call the Dr. Ellie Sadler, who's still his friend, and
From the
get
first
her
one.
for help. Yep. So they get on the boat, and then, yeah, the Spinosaurus shows up and starts attacking the boat, and they all decide to get into a cage.
As
For
the
some
boat
reason-
is kind of being
Yes.
sunk.
Yeah, and the phone's kind of sliding up and down the boat, and they're trying to grab it while they're in the
Right.
cage. Which I think the phone would just fall off the boat at that point.
Right.
But they do get it, and he finally calls Ellie, and her son picks up, and he's like, "Oh, the dinosaur man," and he's like, "Put your mommy on the phone."
Right.
And she's out doing something, and he's like, "Barney's on TV."
Right. So he's very distracted as a
Yes.
kid.
And it's like,
So you don't know if there's actually going to be any help
Yeah.
sent.
yeah, I think she picks up, and she just hears kind of screaming, muffled, because they finally go underwater in this cage. But they do get out of the cage and
Right.
kind of get up on land, but this dinosaur's still here. So William H. Macy
Goes
climbs
through a crane.
up on top of a crane somehow with a flare, and the gas tank on the boat had kind of ruptured, so there's gas all in the water. So William H. Macy throws the flare into the water and starts it on fire. And that's enough to scare the Spinosaurus away. Yeah. So
And then we thought William H. Macy died.
yes, but then he's
But he
like,
did not.
Yeah, I forget what he said. I think
Yeah.
he says some line.
Yeah, I don't
Had he
remember what it
been
was.
learning to swim, maybe something about that. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, so then they walk into the woods, and then the raptors show up again, and it's another
They
tense
want those
moment,
eggs.
And then they had kind of made up a raptor call thing, so they kind of use that.
At
She
the
lays down.
very beginning of the film,
Yeah.
they had found
A way to
some
kind of-
windpipe thing
yeah,
or something
yep.
of a raptor.
Yeah. So she lays down the eggs for them, and then he kind of makes that call, and they're like, "Oh, we gotta go." So they pick up the eggs and run away, and our people go to the beach, and then there's help at the beach.
Yes.
And it's like, "Oh, Ellie Sattler came through for us." Just
Right.
tanks rolling up onto the beach. I'm like, okay, that felt a little abrupt.
Right. It was a very, quick,
Yes.
snappy ending.
Yes. And they get onto the helicopter, and oh, who's there? It's Billy.
Right. They somehow found Billy, too, in
Yeah.
that short amount of time.
I
So
don't understand that.
it was a quick kind of ending.
Yeah, where the previous film kind of felt like it added on a few too many things, possibly. This one felt like it just ended
stopped.
abruptly.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that's pretty much that one.
Mhm.
We're about halfway through here, and we're an hour into this.
Yeah. Then it's I don't know how many years are between this, but then we get into the Jurassic World.
Yes.